announcements, we want to congratulate our varsity football team for making it to CIF. Unfortunately, they lost their first round, but we are proud of them for putting up a fight. We would also like to applaud our boys soccer team who defeated Whittier Christian High School last Friday. Way to start off your season, boys. Start off our announcements, we want to congratulate our varsity football team for making it to CIF. The basketball boys have a game on Friday and the basketball girls have a game on Monday. Good luck, Olis. We also want to give a huge appreciation to our cross-country coach, Mr. Armes, for everything he has done for his team, as well as everything he has done as a counselor. Both of the cross-country varsity teams, as well as junior varsity girls, took home the league championship. Last Friday at CIF, both girl and boy varsity teams ran exceptionally well. Boys placed 9th overall in their heat. This week is Kindness Week. On Monday, our Olympians gave something sweet to somebody. Today, we created a thank you link. Tomorrow, we plan on pitting somebody with kindness. On Thursday, we will be taking a group selfie. And finally, on Friday, we will focus on spreading kindness during lunch. We also would like to give a huge thanks to all of our counselors for helping our seniors and guiding them through the whole college application process. We are so thankful for them going out of their way to invite different colleges to give us presentations about their school. For instance, we had Cal Poly, Santa Barbara, and UC Riverside give us a virtual presentation in the past few weeks. The National Honor Society and the Internet Club will be hosting a canned food drive this Saturday. We will be donating canned goods, putting them to baskets, and handing them to families in need. Some of our ASB leaders will be volunteering to assist with the sweater community service event that would take place on Saturday as well. The event consists of people donating sweaters that they no longer need to those that actually need them. Tomorrow, a few of our leaders will be meeting up with the superintendent regarding ways on how we can improve our academics at our school. And that concludes our announcements for Bassett High School. Thank you. Donating sweaters that they no longer need.
The announcements
Those that
for
actually
Don
need them.
Julian
Tomorrow, a
Elementary
few
School.
of our leaders will be
Don
meeting
Julian
up with
students
the
are excited for the
superintendent regarding ways
opportunity to participate
our
in our
academic-
mariachi program. We currently have 40 students enrolled and look forward to performing for you soon. Our 100-mile club is off to a great start. Teachers and students are taking advantage of the nice weather and walking the track for PE, recess, or lunch. We invite you to join our turkey trot this Friday, November 19th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Sunkist Elementary School announcements. October was full of activities at Sunkist Elementary. Tigers learned all about internet safety and digital citizenship through our common sense media lessons taught by our teachers. We had a fantastic Red Ribbon Week with many students participating in our Spirit Days. At the end of the month, our dual immersion teachers worked with students and staff to create a beautiful cultural exhibition of Dia de los Muertos, which many classes toured. Our students took district benchmark exams in ELA and math, and teachers have been busy analyzing the data and adjusting interventions to help close the achievement gap. We are hosting Coffee with the Principal this Thursday evening at 5 p.m. in person and on Zoom. Our guest speakers will be from Active SGB regarding walking safely to and from school. We would like to invite the Sunkist community to our holiday program on December 15th and 16th. On behalf of Sunkist Elementary School, we wish everyone in the Bassett community a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez and Ms. Naya. Just one quick comment. Ms. Dina Flores is joining us as well. She's online.
On behalf of Sunkist Elementary.
Item number 3, public comments related to closed session items. This is the appropriate point in the agenda for those present to speak with regards to any closed session items on the agenda. Only topics specific to the actual closed session item will be heard at this time. Topics which do not address closed session items will be heard during open session comments. We have Ms. Mahaffey.
Good evening, Carla Mahaffey, Bassett Teachers Association. BTA is here to thank the USD for their sunshine proposal and looks forward to beginning negotiations. Please note, although absent in the district sunshine letter, that both parties agreed to open Articles 16 and 17 in addition to the 2 chosen articles by each party per Article 23 duration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mahaffey. That being said, item number 4, closed session. The board will be going into closed session at 5:40.
test.
Going on with the video.
So this is what's going out to, but I muted it. I unmuted it right now.
So everything I said.
Testing, testing. No.
All right, here we go. So item number 5, the board is reconvening into open session at 6:47. Number one, report of action taken in closed session. Ms. Stanzioni.
In closed session on a motion by Mr. Solano and second by Ms. Rivera, on a vote of 3 members approving and 2 members opposed, the governing board took action to appoint Ada Argueta as the principal of Bassett Adult School effective on November 17th, 2021.
Ms. Stanzioni, can you share how each board member voted?
Mr. Barajas, yay. Mr. Solano, yay. Patrice Stanzioni, nay. Dolores Rivera, yay. Dina Flores, nay.
Thank you, Ms. Stanzioni. Item number 6, staff presentations, information. Item 1, superintendent's report. Dr. Alvarez.
Thank you, Board President Barajas, members of the board, those that are here. I first would like to start with our 2 elementary principals are here to present their school data. We have Mr. Morales from Van Wyck. You want to go first, or do we flip it between you and Mr. Hvac? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Is it on? Okay, let me move it down a little bit. I'm short. All right, good evening. My name is Juliana Morales, proud principal of Van Wyck Elementary, and I'm here to present the data picture of our school thus far for the 21-22 school year. We're going to start with language arts. And we're going to start with our iReady diagnostic that was taken in September. And what you're seeing here is the 5-level placement of our students in grades 1 through 5 who took the assessment. So that represents 240 of our students. And as you can see, for about 14% are on grade level, 43 are 1 year grade below, and 44% are in the red that we call 2 or more grade levels below. So that's essentially how they scored in September in language arts. We take a closer look at grade level, how they're performing grade level by band. And the first 2 represent the green, the middle represents the yellow, and the last 2 represent 2 or more grade levels below. So I'll give you a moment to kind of take a look at those numbers. I don't want to read them to you. And then we took a little bit more of a deeper dive into the information there, and the students are in language arts tested in 6 different areas. In vocabulary, so some of our areas of need are vocabulary, comprehension and literature, and comprehension of informational text. Again, those are the areas of greatest focus for us. Phonics and phonological awareness are a concern in grades 1 and 2. The need for support in grades 3 through 5 for phonics is minimal as a result. Diagnostic 1 actually shows that 0% of our students are scoring below grade level in that area, so that's promising for us. We also have a decreasing amount of students who need phonological awareness support and high frequency word support as we move up in the grade levels. So we go from 92% of our students in grades 1 that need support in phonological awareness to 31% in grade 5. So as we move up through the grade levels, we're seeing less and less support in that phonological awareness domain. And the same is true in the high frequency words. When we look at grade 1, 78% of our students need support with high frequency words, where we move to grade 5, 0% of our students need support with high frequency words. And this information, all of this information for language arts was used to create our first cycle of response to intervention at our school site. This is our trimester 1 benchmark for language arts. This was taken in October. And the way that I looked at the data is I wanted to compare our results to the district, how the district scored as a whole. So that's what you see at the chart above. And so we're pretty similar scoring as how the district scored on average. The only difference, we scored a little bit lower in grades 4 and 5. The graph at the bottom represents the number of students scoring in each particular area. So either exceeding, meeting, approaching, or not meeting. So that's the number of students, not necessarily the percentage. So that's our language arts, and here's math. So here's our overall information for our math. We have 3% of our students scoring mid or above grade level, 44% of our students 1 year below, and then 52% of our students scoring 2 or more years behind in math. And again, this was our iReady diagnostic that was taken in September. And again, we took a deeper dive into how our students are performing by grade level. And the information that provides me with the most information, our school site with the most information, is the domain performance. So as you can see, we need support. We need to support our students in all of the areas of domain who are 1 or more years behind. So those are in the 80s and 90 percentages in all of those areas. Some of our teachers are reporting that math is very word heavy, and they theorize that the problem is that our students need so much support in reading that they may not be able to attack those word problems. So if we improve our reading, we are hopefully going to see an improvement in our math. And this is our trimester data. Again, I compared our results, our school-wide results, to the district results. And again, we fall pretty in line with how the district performed as a whole. And as you can see, our 3rd grade needs the most support in math. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we're falling in line with the mission and vision of our school. Our vision at Van Wyck School is to expose students to learning opportunities aligned to state standards that allow them to utilize language, science, math, and technology in order to enhance their understanding and appreciation of the arts. And our mission at Van Wyck is that our staff is dedicated to cultivating the love of learning to our students to aid them in reaching their full potential. Our mission is to provide students with a rigorous and balanced curriculum to develop lifelong learners, problem solvers, good citizens striving for successful college and career opportunities. So we have an action plan in order to achieve our vision and mission of the school that consists of 4 major parts. The first is the cycle of continuous improvement that our district has been leading the way with at our school sites for several years now. And it's a school-wide commitment to the PLC practices and the cycle of continuous improvement. And those PLC pillars are data analysis, a focus on learning, and collaboration. And so our school site has been heavily using their PLT time, what we call it, is a professional learning team collaboration time, to analyze data and create action plans. We're going to have some sub time in order for teachers to continue to plan and improve their tier 1 instruction and support students during our RTI, which is our response to intervention time. We're going to continue to use CFAs, which are common formative assessments, with data analysis. We need to make sure that we're analyzing the data from those common formative assessments and coming up with plans on what our next steps are. And then professional development at our site. What teachers we need to make sure that our teachers are continuing to grow and learn from each other, from the strengths that they all bring to the table. Our next point here is our systematic RTI. I'm happy to announce that this is the first time since I've been principal at Van Wyck that we have a systematic RTI in place. We're starting with little baby steps. So we started with language arts about 5 weeks ago. We want to continue to develop this school-wide with the support of our guiding coalition, and we want to focus on ensuring that we're meeting the needs of all of our students while also focusing on essential standards and targets. In order to accomplish this, we're using everybody at our site. We're using our library media tech as one of our aides in the morning for our first grade. We have 2 part-time instructional aid supports to work with our highest need groups. We're still looking to fill our 2 full-time positions. It's been really, really difficult, as you all know, to fill those positions at our site. Our counselor has also taken part and is helping the 3rd grade team in order to make the group sizes even smaller. We also have the support of a district TOSA who's teaching 3 groups, 1 in each grade span. We have 3 grade span groups, so that our groups are as small as they possibly can be, and also as grouped as they can by the instructional need of the students. So like I said, we started about 5 weeks ago on our cycle 1. We're ready to start our cycle 2 in a couple of weeks. So we're gonna have some planning time and ensure that our teachers have that time to plan, look at the data, and group the students by need. And math, we're looking to start math in January. Hopefully we need to create our systems we need to put our systems in place to ensure that we're looking at the data, we're creating that continuous cycle of improvement with our RTI and ELA before we move over to another subject. So we're hoping to start math in January. We do have the continued support of our math TOSA, who's already working with our 3rd grade, which is great because that was an area where we saw high need in math. And then we are using after-school instructional tutoring time with a focus on math. The 3rd point that I want to talk about is our instructional practices. We're ensuring that we have our best first tier 1 instruction. We're using the guaranteed and viable curriculum at our site to ensure that our students are getting the support and instruction in those essential targets. With the support of Ed Services, they've been supporting our teachers with differentiated instruction, professional development, and I'm seeing that implemented into our classrooms. Again, we have instructional aids in the classroom, small group instruction, and the use of our online resources like Next Gen Math to support our students. We also have the EL Task Force who's supporting our staff, looking at the EL data and ensuring that our EL students' needs are met as well. And our last point here is the use of our guiding coalition at our site. The guiding coalition at Van Wyck is committed to supporting and empowering our staff to implement research-based strategies that will foster a culture that continuously increases high levels of learning for our students. So again, they're very responsible for looking at the data with me, alongside me. We have bi-monthly meetings, where we look at data, go through all of that information in order to support, monitor progress, and ensure the success of our students. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Mrs. Morales, that's a very great presentation. Thank you so much. And as I mentioned at the last board meeting, I know that our campuses have a challenge having our students are just coming back from being distant learning for a year or so. So I know this is going to take time, but you're on the right track, and I know you will get your students back on track working with your staff. You have an amazing staff there. Just let the board know how we can best support.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
I just echo the words that I shared during our last board meeting. It is a diagnostic early in the school year. We do understand that there was learning loss. It's not me saying that. It's a lot of academic research that has shown that there's some level of learning loss. However, to see that they're not far behind, it's pretty cool to see. First grade shows that, at least with the ELA group, that the K teachers were doing pretty good. They're not as far behind as probably one would expect. That being said, thank you for sharing the data. We know for a fact that you're going to use it to guide instruction here forth, so we do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Barajas.
Thank you.
Mr. Tavai?
Good evening, Board President Barajas, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Alvarez, staff, and members of the Bassett community. It is always an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to present to you on Sunkist Elementary, a school that I am so proud to lead as principal. As you can see from the first picture on the first slide, we are focused on students, their achievement, and preparing them for a bright future, exemplified in our No Excuses University atmosphere. We'll begin by looking at the reading diagnostic iReady data that the students took the test in August. And coming out of this extraordinary year of COVID pandemic, distance learning, and hybrid learning, we are keenly aware of the students' the setbacks in learning, and we are meeting the reality of those challenges head on at Sunkist as a team. We tested all of our students, and we're looking at the results showing about 45% overall below or far below grade level, and about 55% more on track. Looking deeper into the domains, teachers can see specific areas where students are struggling and where they don't need as much support. We want to look at what we're doing well too, so that we can celebrate those achievements. And then focus on areas where we can grow. And we use this data to target intervention specific to students' individual needs. And so that the breaking it down into the domains is really important. We can see in the upper grades a trend of needing more support in comprehension, reading comprehension, not so much in the phonics, but that's true in the lower grades. They need that. If you look at the placement by grade level, you can see that the achievement gap widens a bit in the upper grades. Again, reading comprehension is what they need to focus on, grades 3 through 5. Whereas the earlier grades need to focus on foundational skills in reading. In first grade, about 85% are in the yellow and green, second grade 58, third grade 44, fourth grade 52%, and in fifth grade 42% are in the green and yellow. Again, as Ms. Morales indicated, the green is meeting or exceeding, the yellow is a year behind, and the red is multiple years behind. In October last month, we gave the district benchmark to all students, both in language arts and in math, at the end of the first trimester. The results show that there are some students meeting and exceeding, and especially in first and fifth grade, we have some more achievement there, but a lot of work to do in the other grade levels to get towards mastery. Sunkist teachers have taken part in the ongoing district professional development about differentiated instruction, and more recently, how to look deeper into the benchmark scores and look at each item on those tests and how students did on those to identify trends so teachers can look at trends in their class. They can develop their intervention groups. They can look at trends as a school. And so we go into that in each the PLT teams, as well as the guiding coalition, the leadership team, looking at that data to drive the school forward. All this data helps us design and implement an appropriate intervention program to bring the students up to grade level. Going on to math, the same thing. We gave the diagnostic on iReady in August. And pretty much across all of the domains, there's a great need for intervention. We have 51%, far below the standard in math currently, or well, back in August. And we're working on that, but you have to look deeper into this. The teachers look deeper into the data. What is it exactly that the students need? And they're designing their intervention based on that. So we talk about 3 tiers at Sunkist. First tier is first best instruction. And so that's the instruction that each teacher gives every day to all the students. That's what all the students get. Tier 2 is for students who are a little bit behind. So they've taught a concept, they've taught a unit, they give a CFA, they analyze that data, and they say, okay, here's some students who didn't get the concept. Let's pull them aside. Let's do some small group instruction, and let's get them back up to where they need to be. Tier 3 is more intense. Those are the students that are multiple grade levels behind. They're represented in the red. And that's a different time of the day, but the teachers are focused on that. You look at the math scores there by grade level. We can see some positives, but a lot of work to do. So when we look at 3rd grade, in fact, I was meeting with the guiding coalition today. We're talking about 3rd grade and the need for memorizing multiplication facts. So this is critical at the 3rd grade level. The benchmark, it's a similar story. Again, given at the end of the trimester, looking at this data, we can break it down by skill and by student to identify the specific needs that each student has. And the teachers can group the students based on that and do small group, but also do even individualized instruction. And like other schools in the district, utilizing all of our staff as much as we can, the counselor, the library media technician, our aides. We have TOSA provided by the district, couple TOSAs, one for mathematics and another for language arts that's going to be working with us to set aside. It's critical that we did this work during the summer. We started because we knew this was going to happen, that we would have this learning loss. And we came together as a staff for a summer institute. We looked at the data of where we were at the end of the year last year, and we started planning our tier 2 and tier 3 intervention. So one of the things we did was we looked at how do we get these groups even smaller? So we're identifying the tier 3 students that are way behind, putting them into the smallest groups we can while we take the rest of the students and do an enriching activity with those students. So they're not missing out on any first tier instruction. They're building on the skills they've already learned, and they're applying those while we work intensively with the students that are way behind. And that's one of the ways that you can make the groups very small, which is what we need to do in order to get really focused on their needs. So our goal this year, we're staying on course, we're staying on target, we're preparing all kids to be college and career ready. That's what we always come back to. We have a belief statement at Sunkist. We are committed to the belief that every student deserves to be educated in a way that prepares them for college. Our mission is to provide rigorous academic learning and enduring character development for all students in order to prepare them for college. our mission, our vision through collaboration, character development, creativity, problem solving, accepting responsibility, working hard, and showing respect. All students will thrive as lifelong learners and reach their highest academic achievement. And this belief, mission, and vision gets revisited every year and refined. We come together as a staff and we look at the data and we look at our students and what do we need, where do we need to focus? And we refine these every year. These came from some intensive work that was done on a TDD day, September 27th, when we really finalized this. And we'll look at it again at the end of the year and keep refining it. As I mentioned before, we're an NEU school, and so we have a belief that students deserve this. Doesn't matter where they come from, they deserve to be prepared for college, and that's our goal. The actions that we're taking, we're continuing our cycle of continuous improvement. We continue to focus on the PLC practices that we've started for years now with the support of the district. And I've been working with our guiding coalition. They are leading the way. It's not me, it's us as a guiding coalition, the teacher leaders and me working together to lead the school forward. They have grade level collaboration, and we offer the common formative assessments about every 2 weeks. So as they pick out an essential standard, okay, this is the essential standard that we're going to focus on in the pacing guide, what the students need to know, break that down into the learning targets, into the basic skills that they need to master in order to achieve the standard, teach those lessons, and then get the CFA data, the common formative assessment, analyze that. Okay, who got it, who didn't, and what are you going to do about it, right? So if they didn't learn it, then that's the intervention piece. And they do that work as a team because we have a collective commitment. They're all our students, and so we're working together on that. They have differentiated instruction because we're looking at how students learn, the modalities of how they learn. Getting to know the student, what are they interested in, and how can I present this material in a way that excites them, right? Do that in small groups. We have an intervention that's, like I said, built into our daily schedule. Online resources and supplemental programs that we use. We're very excited about the next generation math. We had a lot of conversations about that. Teachers are already using it, really liking it. And it's aligned to Hvac, which is very good. And we, of course, as I said before, have our instructional assistants for support. And it has been a struggle to hire those people. I think we still have one opening left, but we're moving forward because the kids can't wait. So we're getting it done. Finally, just to close, I just want to say again that we know the students are counting on us, and the faculty and staff accept the responsibility and the challenges that this data reflects, and we celebrate the achievements of our students as they get there. And we talk often at Sunkist about never giving up, encouraging others and yourself, and always doing your best. And in the morning announcements, I remind the students, if you haven't achieved your goal yet is the key word, it's okay, keep working hard, set those goals with your teacher, share them with your parents so they can support you, and work on it little by little every day until you get there. And that's how we're encouraging our Tigers. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
The first one is, and it's to Ms. Morales as well. You have the student assessed and the total students. Why is there such a big discrepancy between the number of children you tested versus your total?
Thank you. One of the reasons for that is because the kinder students are counted in the overall population, but they don't take that test.
Thank
So
you.
the numbers will never quite match up.
Just wanted to have that stated
Yes.
so people knew. On also, in that we all know that learning is a language-based activity, how many ELs are represented in these numbers? Because that's significant.
I think it's about, I don't want to guess and get it wrong.
Close.
It's about 30%.
That's a huge
ELs.
number.
It's a
If
huge
that's
number of ELs.
disaggregated from these numbers, you would probably see an immense difference.
And we can do that. We have done that. I did not represent it in this presentation, but we, of course, look at we used to call them subgroups. Now they're student groups, but we look at students with IEPs, students who are ALs, all that.
Correct.
To segregate.
Ms. Morales, the same thing, about the same percentage, you think? And that truly has a bearing on this kind of data, whether they're the subgroups. I'm used to the old terms.
Right.
Because that pulls out children that can't fully access the grade level and shouldn't be expected to, especially if they're special needs. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Yes, I do appreciate the growth mindset approach at the end, letting them know that, yes, they'll get there. They'll get there. While I was looking at the data, the numbers to an extent for both ELA and math are pretty similar for both schools, which I think respectfully could make way for some healthy competition to see what different schools are doing. Our numbers going up, going down, and maybe learning from each other, right? Because that's what we're in, the field of learning from each other. I think this is a great opportunity. I wasn't really taking too much into account the benchmarks because there's a huge dip. However, it doesn't necessarily reflect the data that was used from the iReady diagnostic as well. That being said, again, I mean it in a respectful manner, not cutthroat or anything like that. But see what each school is doing differently, what systems they have in place and so on, and learn from each other. Because I'm pretty sure, and I mean, my hope is that we both go up together, where everybody goes up. There might be one school that takes off, the other one kind of plateaus to an extent. Learning opportunity, if you ask me. I'll leave that at that. Thank you, though.
Thank you. And to respond to that, I would just say I completely agree. And I think we have a very collaborative principal team led by Dr. Kennard. We meet often and we share all of our best ideas, and we do have a healthy competitive spirit, but we're all here to help each other out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Alvarez?
Good evening again, Board President, members of the board, those here present and online. I just wanted to take this opportunity to just do a brief presentation. I know we've had quite a few today and we've got two more. But I wanted to go over just some of the accomplishments since I've been here. For those of you who may not know, today marks one actual year of me being the superintendent for Bassett Unified School District. So I want to start by thanking all of you and on how much of an honor it's been for me to be here and working with everyone. And there was a lot of compliments even before me arriving. The district staff did a great job getting these devices out when we had to go to distance learning and all the work that had to go with ordering them, getting them ready, distribution, everything that went with it. A lot of great things and accomplishments were made prior to my arrival. But since then, I do wanted to take this opportunity, some additional accomplishments since my tenure. To begin with, one of the first things that I focused on when I got here working with the team is really taking care of our community and having meals. So if we can go to the next slide. We fully implemented the summer feed program, working with the business service, site principals, student nutrition department. Moving to, once again, fully implementing, we started providing up to 7 meals per child per week for anyone ages 18 and under. They did not have to be our students. We distributed the food from every school site, and those items included Subway, gallons of milk, orange juice, fruits, vegetables, full meals, and we did that for the rest of the school year. If we go on to the next one, the budget, which is one of the biggest obstacles for the district. We had, we're facing, we had a fiscal advisor assigned to the district from LACO, meaning that there were some serious concerns by LACO of whether or not the district would be able to maintain its fiscal obligations in the years out. And so with that, we were able to present to the board at the second interim a positive certification. The last three were considered qualified, which means the district will make the current but may not make the subsequent fiscal year's financial obligations. We were able to increase the district's reserve for the fund balance. In addition, for last year, we met our minimum classroom compensation. We didn't meet it the year before that. And what that means is 55% of our funds being used for direct support K-12 instruction in the classroom. In addition to that, we eliminated student nutrition deficit for the 1920 school year. We actually, the district, were in a hole. We spent more money than we brought in student nutrition, at almost $500,000 in the red. Last year, as we closed out the books, as we started the year last year, we were really operating in the red and turned it around and ended up ending with an additional $1.37 million in revenue that dropped to our fund balance. And I must say that this could not have happened without the work of Ms. Rajiv, her team in the business department, and really all the sites and departments, ed services, human resources, school sites, all our different partners and different leaderships, union groups, and everyone working together to do what needs to be done to continue to move the district forward in a positive way, specifically with its finances. The next thing is really working once again with our labor partners, implementation of our hybrid schedule, bringing kids back to school in April. Schools, districts had the choice of whether or not to do it. Vassar Unified School District, at the direction of the board, really felt it was important, and the community members really wanted their children back on campus as much as possible. And this is what was allowed by the state. And so we implemented our hybrid schedule, allowing kids to come to school in two different groups. And once again, that's really attributed to our labor partners working with us, our district office staff, everyone to make sure this happened. Next thing, dual immersion over at Sunkist Elementary, the leadership of Mr. Tavide implementing it at the district for the first year of TK kindergarten. Once again, what are the benefits of dual immersion? Faster English language acquisition. So students tend to achieve higher academically, opportunity not only to obviously their native language, but to learn a foreign language, higher mastery in reading and writing in 2 languages, and so on. So I did want to thank Mr. Tavite, the teachers, Mrs. Barrera and Mrs. Madrid for taking on those dual immersion classes. So thank you to them. And if we go on, we did implement this year Spanish at the middle school, Torch Middle School, students being able to take Spanish 1. Next year, taking on Spanish 2, which allows them by the time they get to high school to have at least 2 classes of high school credit that allows them to open up their master's schedule to take different electives while there. Oftentimes that is a challenge because there are so many courses to take. This kind of frees up at least 2 options there. And once again, a thank you to Torch Middle School, Mrs. Larson, who's teaching it, and site administration for supporting it. If we go on to the next slide. Esports, some of you have heard us talking about it. Oh, went too far. One more. So at Bassett High School, we implemented esports this year. Oop, it just went again. I'll just keep talking about it. So we implemented esports. For those who aren't familiar, esports is an online gaming sport. It really is. It's becoming wider and widely acknowledged. Actually, UC Irvine has a whole facilities dedicated to esports that incorporates the different fields of employment that go along with esports, to include a lot of STEMs, science, technology, engineering, and math, robotics, graphic design, coding, you name it. So not only is this just fun for kids to play, but it's also lights that interest and spark in those different fields. And also as working as a team, really develops some essential learning skills that apply to both life and professional. Professional skills of communication, collaboration, problem solving, everything that's needed to work together as a team to be successful. And just for those of you who may not know, our Esports Championship is coming up December 6th, being held here. We invite all of you to attend at 6:30 to 8:30. We'll send out more information, but our students, we have 8 teams at the high school competing against each other. Each team is composed of 6. Be surprised, there's a lot of young ladies on the team. They have their own teams. So it's just great to see the number of students and actually an equal amount of both boys and girls on the team. And I say that because my daughter, who is an engineering major in college, and a class of 300, her freshman year in engineering, there was only 6 girls in her class. So to see something like that here to me makes it look like, or show that we are making sure we're promoting to everyone. If we go on, facilities projects, another area that we've kind of started to move forward with accomplishment is we did get our HVAC project for the Bassett High School Gymnasium into DSA. We're estimated to get approval sometime in December. If that happens, we'll go out, we'll put bid docs together, go out for bid, and have this job completed by sometime in the summer of 2022. And we'll be seeing shortly a presentation on the Bassett High School pool design, approximately 1.5 years, if I'm correct. They'll provide more information on that. But that's just a list of a few of the accomplishments here at Bassett Unified School District in the last 12 months. I again have to just reiterate that this could not have been accomplished without the support and guidance of the board, working closely with all our labor partners, our employees, our community, our parents, our administration, everyone. It takes a team to be able to move things forward, and that's kind of what I've seen here and been working with. So thank you to the board for your leadership, your focus, and thank you to my team, Ms. Rajiv, Dr. Kennard, Tamiko, everyone at the district office, and especially everyone at the school sites, principals, clerical, teachers, counselors, everyone are all making an impact for our students. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morales, Mr. Tavida, and Dr. Olivares for your presentations. Phenomenal work. Item number 2, Educator's Effectiveness Plan Executive Summary. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education. No, that was it. Sorry about that.
Good evening, Board President Barajas, board members, superintendent, and the Bassett community. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present information regarding the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant tonight. Tonight's presentation begins with an overview. The Educator Effectiveness Block Grant was established by Assembly Bill 130 and amended by Assembly Bill 167. It is one-time funds to provide professional learning for teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals who work with pupils, and classified staff that interact with pupils. There are 10 allowable uses of these funds, and Bassett's allocation was $754,067. There are some conditions of apportionment. Before December 30th, the district must develop and adopt a plan delineating how the funds will be spent. The plan must be explained in a public meeting of the governing board before its adoption in a subsequent public meeting. The plan is also subject to an audit. And lastly, the districts must submit an annual data and expenditure report detailing information to the state before September 30th of each year. The timeline for the Effective Educator Block Grant is between December and January. The state plans to release the first apportionment of funds, approximately 80%. And before December 30th, the districts must develop and adopt a plan delineating how the funds will be spent. In the spring, the state plans to release the remaining funds. And then before September 30th of each year, we must complete the annual expenditure and data report and submit that information to the state. The next 3 slides list the 10 allowable uses of funds. Coaching of staff serving in an instructional setting and beginning teacher or administrator induction program. Programs that lead to effective standards-aligned instruction and improve instruction and literacy across all subject areas. Practices and strategies that re-engage pupils that lead to accelerated learning. Allowable funds continued here, strategies to implement social emotional learning, practices to create positive school climate, strategies to improve inclusive practices, some are listed there, instruction and education to support implementing effective language acquisition programs for English learners. And the last 3 are new professional learning networks for educators, instruction, education, and strategies to incorporate ethnic studies curricula into instruction for grades 7 through 12, and instruction, education, and strategies for certificated and classified educators and early childhood education or child development. The next few slides are Bassett's planned activities for use of these funds. The process followed to identify these activities were similar at each of the sites. The principals were provided with the information. They met with their leadership teams and the entire staff. Some surveyed their staff. Some had their leadership teams go out and speak to the staffs directly, their departments. Some went directly to the entire staff. So they've done this work in various ways at each of their sites. And they've submitted plans based on what their teachers are recommending or requesting these planned activities for their sites. So what we've done is we've put a summary together for each of these areas. So allowable expenditure coaching of staff serving in an instructional setting. So the conference institutes included West Ed, Franklin Covey Professional Development, and ASCD, which is the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. In allowable expenditure area number 2, which has to do with standards-based instruction, improve literacy across all subject areas. Conferences and trainings included thinking maps, right from the beginning, Nancy Fetzer, and the National Conference of Teachers of Mathematics and Solution Tree. In area number 3, re-engaging pupils and lead to accelerated learning. Conferences and trainings included the RTI conference for their guiding coalition, STEM, VAPA, and math practices. For the next areas of allowable expenditures, in the area of social emotional learning, the conferences and trainings include further training in capturing kids' hearts, excellence in equity, PBIS, physical education, second step. In the area of positive school climate, conferences and trainings were equity and justice, restorative practices, Franklin Covey's 7 habits, multi-tiered system of supports, PBIS, and VAPA. In the area, in number 6, the area of inclusive practices, conferences and trainings included RTI at work. And lastly here, the area of language acquisition programs for English learners, conferences, trainings, and activities included Hvac Conference, GLAD training, TESOL. And then in the area of professional learning networks, again, Solution Tree, PLC at work, thinking maps. There were no additional items for ethnic studies curricula. And we will be working with Mr. Coyne for the early childhood education area. I am happy to answer any questions that you might have with regard to the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant.
Thank you, Dr. Medina Canard.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 3, SBA Architects.
President, members of the board, we have Representative. Sorry, there we go. Board President Barajas, members of the board, we do have representatives from SVA who are here to present the proposed pool project. This was a project that started before I got here. The project was placed on hold. Direction with the board, we moved forward, and they're here to present it as they get into the second phase of the final part of the design, more specific within the plans so that we can get it into DSA.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Marco Escudero. I'm an architect with SBA Architects. Here with me is Bob Simons, partner and president of the company. And yes, this is a project that we are developing for Bassett High School. As you can see, the current condition of the pool is really depressed. There's a big damage, structural damage in it. The current pool is basically out of service right now, and it's practically abandoned. Besides that, the existing pool didn't have some it didn't have the dimensions needed to practice water polo or be considered part of the CIF tournaments that a lot of high school are part of it here in California. So this is what we need to address here. This, just to give you an idea of the projects that we have done before. So as SBA, we have been involved in a few projects as listed there. Redondo Union High School Aquatic Center, the South Region Academy for Multilingual Arts and Science, Maywood Academy, and 3 other projects for, one is for the City of Temecula Aquatics and Recreation Center, City of Bell Gardens, Fort Park Aquatic Center, and City of Gardena Community Aquatic and Senior Center. Besides this, we are, for this particular project at the high school, our partner is Terracon, and all they do is pools really. So they have hundreds of projects developed already. And here I just gonna mention a few that are local. One of them is Los Alamitos High School Aquatic Center, Burlingame High School Aquatic Center, Santa Margarita High School, Garden Grove Unified, Pacifica and La Quinta or La Quinta High Schools, Novato High School, and this one for LA County is Castaic Community Aquatic Center. So those is just to list a little bit of the background from both firms related to pool projects.
Sorry to interrupt, Marco. Could you speak a little closer to the microphone? Thank you.
Okay, can I take out my mask or it's not allowed? Okay. Now, so yeah, that's just a list of projects that we and our partner have been developed so far. This is what we are proposing, and basically the same location where the current pool is, but of course, in order to meet the CIF requirements and the water polo activities, we have to increase the size of the pool. This pool that we are presenting, it has 10 lanes for competition and 2 additional lanes for shallow areas to train or practice or learning how to swim. Accessibility will be provided by a ramp located in, if I can, yeah. So besides the pool itself, we have the building that you see in the back. That's the half of that building will be the equipment, and the rest will be restroom, an office for the coach with his own bathroom, and storage, indoor storage. Besides that, we were asked to provide some type of signage that could be seen from La Puente to indicate that there's a big facility here. So that's what we developed there. You can see the Olympians signage there, and above those kind of yellow posts. And in order to integrate all this development, we are including existing facilities that are right next to it, just with the treatment of the facade to basically incorporate to the new building that we are developing that's going to be part of the pool. We also are providing some type of connection between, you can see the basketball and volleyball courts, and there's a level difference between the two areas. So there will be some seating area there to try to address the problem that they have right now. It's just, right now, I don't have a picture with me, but it's just a slope of asphalt going between the two levels. So this is the site. Basically, the pool will be located at the same location that the current pool is. And as I mentioned, we are going to try to integrate this area with the basketball and volleyball courts that are a little bit in a lower level. So this is just an enlarged site plan of the pool. We can see there that it's 30 meters by 24 yards. It has 10 competitive lanes and 2 shallower lanes. The accessible ramp that I already described. This one meets sea IF standards. And allows for water polo, but no diving will be included in this project. We were also asked to provide some bleachers to have some type of audience for competition. So those bleachers, each one of them should allow 200 capacity. And above those, we will have shade structures with potentially photovoltaic panels on top of it. Right below the enlarged site plan is just the pool section. And just to let you know, the pool is going to have like, I think it's 8.5 feet deep, most of the lanes, at least the 10 lanes that are going to be used for competition. This one is the enlarged plan of the pool equipment, just for you to see the layout. Yeah, and so in the top part, we have the restrooms, that gray area that you see. Right below that, we have the office with its own bathroom. Below that, we have the storage, and the other half of the building is where all the pool equipment will be. On the exterior, you can see some gray squares there. Those would be the outdoor showers. And at the top, we have the lockers, some cabins for people that are going to be using the pool, just to put small items there, and drinking fountains that are required. There's also at the very bottom of that floor plan, you can see an outdoor storage area that is also being considered for this project. And I think that will be a quick presentation of what this full project is about. Any questions?
What did you say the depth would be?
8.5 feet for most of the 10 lanes at least that are going to be used for competition. The rest will be shallower.
Okay, so for the competition lanes, it's 8.5 or 10?
It's 8.5 feet.
8.5.
The 10 lanes.
Okay, why did you choose not to move it down so it would provide more curb appeal for our district? It's back so far, nobody sees it.
The pool itself you're talking about?
I can't hear. Sorry.
I'm sorry, the question again?
Why did you choose not to move it down into the
You mean towards the
basketball
street?
court? Yeah, so
It
people would
very
see
well
it.
could be. I mean, that was discussed. It was also discussed to be closer to the gymnasiums. That was ultimately going to be your team locker rooms, right? Instead of building new additional team locker rooms. And so you ultimately need path of travel and so forth. We tried to develop some signage, right, that kind of faces that area. Also, identifying Bassett High School, tying the whole facility together. But the real is you don't have any shower and locker facilities if you move the pool down, and then you got to get access to it. And it's also ADA access to those facilities. So
Isn't it true that the locker rooms are, the girls' locker room is right there on the length and the boys' locker room is on the,
yeah, it's here, we can go back.
I only ask that because living in the neighborhood, nobody's going to see it when it's way up there. It's going to provide us with absolutely no engagement of the neighborhood to bring in kids for our swim program.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to engage it, to make it more transparent, to see activities. I think honestly, I was a swimmer when I was in high school, and I just think people always congregated around the pools when there was an activity going on. And ultimately, you can still see it through the open fencing and the opportunity to come by it. Plus, it's in a secure location. I know we do get some winds that come through here. You're surrounded now by the existing buildings and the locker rooms, and that'll
Yeah,
help.
that wind's never been an issue. I know the one regret of people that initially voted for the first bond to build a
Sure.
pool in
Mhm.
71, was it? I don't remember. Was that they didn't move it down closer to the street. As you go around all the other districts, their pools are significantly closer to the street. I don't know.
It's worthwhile,
I'm just
if
curious.
we want to explore it, we're absolutely open to it. Again, the challenge will be the path of travel. You have no shower and locker facilities, for your teams. And so ultimately, we got to get them there, right? All the
Yeah, it's not
children.
that far a walk. That's my first job was
Yeah.
a pool.
No,
So I know the
understand.
pool quite well.
I understand.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Are
Go
you
ahead.
gonna have, I see you have an accessible ramp, but there's no lift for our.
No, yeah,
special
we
ed
did
students?
this without a lift. It has a ramp. We did that for senior, if you end up with some joint use agreement with the city, you can have an accessible ramp for seniors, or transitional people, but it works out really well versus a lift.
What's the slope of the ramp?
Accessible ramp?
Do you know the slope of the ramp?
I'm sorry, the slope?
The slope of the ramp?
Yeah, it's like,
8.3%.
Yeah. 8.3% is the maximum
Okay.
we can go.
Because they would put the
It's a
wheelchair
shallow,
into the water?
yeah, it's a very
It's too
shallow
deep.
ramp.
It's too deep. It's 8.5 feet.
So how will we get the ones in the wheelchair into the water?
It's not a therapeutic pool. It's a competition.
Yeah, and it's also, we did create a shallow portion of that pool. So you do have the 10 competition lanes, and then you have a shallow portion for.
Yeah, we need to
other
have,
use.
our special ed students' parents also pay the taxes and are gonna be given for the bond. I think they should be able to have access to it with a lift, not just the ramp.
Well, that's
That's something we could look
Yeah.
at.
it's not a big deal to add a lift,
Yeah.
so a lot of
The
people
lift
don't
would
like to maintain them over time, but
Yeah, because it's out, it could even be, don't they have the movable ones that go, you can move in or take out?
no,
when-
it's essentially a hoist lift that, will
Yeah,
will
hoist.
carry
Yeah, we've
people.
used portable hoists before.
Absolutely
Yeah.
easy to add to the project.
No, but we used to have a voice that's how
Right.
we put them in the
In
summer.
the shallow end.
Yeah, and so you'd have two ways of doing it, right?
by ramp and by the lift. So that would work out.
Ms. Flores?
Thank you. First of all, I love this design. It looks really great. I know that we would like to have it, as Board Member Stanzioni said, closer to the street to give, to attract attention. However, I do see that you are making use of the existing pool. Though you've gone bigger, you're making use of it. And I really like how you've tried to pull it all together by adding the facade, the Bassett High School, the color scheme. And I love that Olympian sign there. So this is perhaps a great first start. And this is our first time looking at this. Both our fellow board members bring up some really good concerns, and maybe those can be visited. But I think getting this pool going is going to be a great thing overall for the students and for the community. I like so far the initial first start on this, and I'm excited to see the finished product.
Appreciate that. I just wanted to add, we do appreciate how the project is looking at this point. If we would like to see it in a different location or different things added to it, I think that's something that we could talk about as a board and have a discussion, whether it be in a study session or a different board meeting. I think at this point that we're just showing what a plan will look like. Of course, that will change the budget for the project as well. So those are things that the board as a whole, or all five of us, are going to have to look into. I do appreciate the feedback though.
Yeah, my 2 cents, if we're gonna go that route, we can do that sooner than later. As this has been delayed, I think the target time for this was summer of 2022, or not summer 2022, a year and a half to 2-year project? Correct. Right, so the longer we frankly nitpick at the details of like some of the things that have been mentioned tonight, I think the longer our community goes without a swimming pool. So if we're gonna get that involved in the details, then we need to have that happen like within a month to 2 months. So I would hope that if that's the case, then we definitely get on board with that, because we've had an opportunity for a lot of this input. We've had the opportunity for these discussions. And while I understand, individual board members have a priority for curb appeal or whatever it may be, I think our community just needs a working pool. Our students need a working pool, have access to. That's going to be enough of a appeal than having it vacant the way it is right now and not working. So, but again, if we're going to move forward in that direction, then let's please do it within the next 2 months.
I absolutely agree with that. I do think we do need to make sure it's what our community needs, because we'll be living with it for the next 50 years, as we did with our last one.
Sure.
But we do need to get it right. And I do believe we need to expedite that.
Okay, we're happy to do that. Any other
Thank
questions?
you for the presentation.
Great, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Item number 7, written communications. We don't have any this time around. Item number 8, public comments. The Board of Education welcomes input from the public in order to conduct district business in an orderly manner for the privacy and safety of the speaker and to help staff respond more directly. Board policies require that public presentations to the board be complied with certain procedures, including speakers may address only items that are within subject matter jurisdiction of the board. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to state their name, address the board from the podium, adhere to the applicable time limit of 3 minutes. Total time allotted for public input on either agenda or non-agenda items is limited to 20 minutes. Complaints should follow the district's complaint procedure before discussion with the board. Bassett Teacher Association. Do we have anyone from Bassett Teacher Association? Nope. Okay. And California School Employee Association. Okay, thank you. We have Mr. Anthony Orozco.
Good afternoon, board members, executive cabinet, and Superintendent Alvarez. My name is Anthony Roscoe. I'm a Bassett employee, a community organizer, and a member of the Bassett La Puente community, proudly born and raised here. Just like 80% of the students in my district, much of our staff, myself included, grew up in low socioeconomic households. Many of our staff even attended schools in Bassett here when they were younger. These experiences give us unique insight and connection for students, as we can directly relate to the obstacles and challenges that our students face. Every time I work with a student, I see myself. I see my brother, I see my sister, I see my childhood friends who, despite adversity, were always optimistic. When I work with our community's parents, I see my own parents. I see the tiredness of them working long underpaid jobs. I see the concern when they're told that their students are struggling in school, but I also see the same beam of pride that my parents had when they were told that I was doing well in school. Because of this and because of the experiences that we have, the staff at Bassett High School goes above and beyond our job descriptions, clearly, because as you heard our principal say, we have library media techs doing stuff that is beyond the description, I'm sorry. We work before school, after school, and even on weekends, many times unpaid, to ensure that the students in our community have the support they need to succeed. Staff at Bassett High School, and I'm sure everybody else, are sorely committed to helping our students. However, with rising healthcare costs, housing costs, and overall rising living expenses, it's becoming harder and harder to do all this for free and survive at the same time. Every time I look at my wallet, it reminds me that compassion and empathy, although extremely necessary for education work, unfortunately does not pay the bills at the end of the day. With the abundance of federal and state monies, I hope that we can not only invest so much in physical infrastructure, for example, that the board seems so intrigued in, but we also invest in a different type of infrastructure, one that's even more important, and that is human infrastructure. Let's invest in our custodial and security staff that work tirelessly to make sure that every campus, including right here, is safe and clean for our students and their families. Let's invest in our nutritional staff who ensure that every student has access to at least 2 meals a day. And as Superintendent Alvarez said, that we're out there during the pandemic feeding our communities. Let's invest in our clerical staff, who for many are the first people our community sees when they walk into our school. Let's invest in our AT staff, who works tirelessly behind the scenes to keep us connected in an ever-increasing digital learning world. Let's invest in our instructional assistants, counselors, and teachers who are beyond stretched thin, trying to balance learning loss and student mental health issues that were caused by an unprecedented, devastating pandemic. As the principals here have shared, all that stuff, they're not getting compensated for that. They're working above and beyond, and they're stretched thin. And finally, let's invest in the most important humans on our campus, our students. If Bassett is serious about preparing our students for post-secondary success, then we have to do everything as possible as an institution to remove barriers that they face, especially financial ones. A student not taking an AP exam because they can't afford it should never be a conversation that comes up. It's a disgrace that community members and staff are having to pitch in to cover these fees. Every AP exam should be paid for, not just because of compassionate moral reasons, but because every single exam that is passed with a 3 or better also increases our college and career readiness indicator. And in my opinion, having a higher college and career indicator draws more people in our district than the pool. It's hard for students to get a 3, 4, 5 if they can't even take these exams in the first place. The same goes for college application fees. There are many valid reasons why a student may not want to go to college, but inability to pay these fees should not be one of them. Colleges should be free in general, but that's a different conversation for a different body. I urge the board to find at least some ways to pay at least for one college application for every single student that is eligible for the 2G. As a college and career counselor, the worst thing for me is helping them complete their college applications only for them to tell me, Mr., I'm gonna be honest with you, my mom, my dad will not be able to pay this college fee. And my hands are tied at that point. Lastly, let's provide field trips, not just to our high schoolers, but to our middle schools, elementary schools as well, to colleges, trade schools, and more, and not just the local ones either. An hour on UC Berkeley or an hour on UC Santa Cruz's campus can be so much more impactful than me just telling them, hey, go to college, go to UC Berkeley. And although the presentations that are virtual are great, nothing beats walking into a college campus. It's basically like walking into a different world. And with also that being said, Board Member Sanzioni, I agree with you. Our English learners do need tremendous help. And as Dr. Kennard shared, we know that grant funding is specifically for English learners. Why don't we use the majority of that grant to help out the students who need it most? You know, and these are things that teachers, myself, counselors have been begging for and asking for. And many times we don't feel that we're heard by the district, myself included. Okay, I'm not kidding around where I had to pay $100 for a subscription fee to Adobe that was unable to be purchased for me during the pandemic. All right, and these are things that nobody should have to pay. Nobody. It's so hard for me to justify staying in Bassett High School when I'm actually losing money staying here instead of going somewhere else. But the reason I like to stay here is because, like I said, I was born and raised here. All right, and these students, I really want them to succeed, but I can't help them succeed if our teachers are too stretched thin to provide that after-school intervention, if they're not being compensated accurately, not just them, but every single classified staff. So I urge the board to please invest in human infrastructure as much as we are interested in physical infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orozco. And lastly, during our public comments, Dr. Alvarez will make a public comment.
Thank you, Board President. The district recently received a concern regarding safety for attendees at board meetings. Just want to make sure that everyone's aware that the district takes all credible threats seriously and will follow up with appropriate agencies as necessary and required by law. The safety of our students, staff, and families are the district's #1 priority.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. We move on to item number 9, board member comments. Ms. Rivera? Oh, no, Ms. Flores. We have Ms. Flores. You're right. Ms. Flores?
Okay, Gina's not doing it?
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Barajas. Okay, good evening, Bassett. I hope everyone is doing well. Actually, I would like to start my board comment by thanking Mr. Orozco for coming to the podium. Please know that your comments have been heard, and we will, I'm available to see if you'd like to discuss it further. Please reach out to Dr. Alvarez. Also, how can we make this happen? Here at Bassett, we are doing our best to support the students, making sure that they have resources that they need. But also with that, we also do want to support our staff. Funds come from different things. What you just viewed was the pool. That's not taking away from, the general revenue that comes from the bond. So again, we'd be happy, but most important, I really do appreciate you coming forth and sharing your comments, because this is what we need. We want to hear from community, in a very respectful manner, what it is they'd like to see. So with that, moving on, I'd like to start by congratulating our team, our fall teams that are moving on for their advancement to CIF, and some of which actually got league championship. That is really great. Girls volleyball, both cross countries, and our football. Thank you to the coaches for their dedication to these players. You make such a difference in the lives of the players. You inspire them, you motivate them, and that really does make a difference to them. I was able to attend the last game at Granada Hills, the football team, and it was a very exciting game. And as I said, yes, the result wasn't what we wanted, but you had to be there to feel the energy, to feel the excitement and the pride that the parents took. And it was just a Bassett community full of pride. So that was really great. I've been helping also at the Edgewood parking lots, because as you know, when Bishop Vermont has a game, okay, Edgewood benefits. So, and it's really been a great opportunity, because this last time that I was there, I wasn't there this last Friday, but the last time I was there, I had an opportunity to speak with students. So it's really nice to get a perspective of things from students. I'd like to thank Mr. Vasquez, principal at Bassett High School, for taking the time about a couple weeks ago. He did give me a tour of the Esports lab, and it's amazing. And yes, the kids, they get in there, they get set up, they're all excited, and it does open pathways. There's a big push for more women in STEM, and having the kids, they're exposed to the possibility that they can get into coding, STEM and robotics, things like that. This is really great for them. I'd also like to thank Ms. Chan. Oh my God, you can see she's having so much fun. Yes, I'm looking forward to the December 6th championships there. That will be really great. Among other things, I did extend the LOXTA meeting, Los Angeles County Trustees Supervisors Association, that was held yesterday. There was a vote for Stephanie Castaneda representing the 2nd Supervisorial District, and a vote for Mr. Ralph Metcher, 3rd Supervisory District. So that was an election that took place there. Our guest speaker was, in fact, Dr. Eduardo, and she brought, just gave a recap of some of the challenges that have been happening and what LACO's doing to help support. LACO's actually gone to advocate to supervisors to seek 17 million to close the digital divide. And they're continually trying to find other ways to look at how they can best support the schools. Beginning January, she will become the president. She's the president-elect of Cessna. I'm not pronouncing that right, okay? And so the biggest thing also, one other big thing that they did was LACO has now partnership with Best Buy. And in this partnership, what it does is it will build 10 to 12 centers, teen tech centers, so that students can have a place where they can build and develop their skills and support career pathways. So this is really big, partnering with Best Buy. Applause to them for doing this. They're continuing to advocate for equitable funding from the state. And if there's anything that we could do to help, and pretty much that's all. Mental health is still a major thing because of this COVID crisis. Many people have lost loved ones or have support. They are in need of support, I'm sorry. So they have support in place through EAS, and students and staff have access to this support. So in closing, I would just like to say, as we enter next week is our Thanksgiving week, I'd like us all to take some time to be thankful for the blessings in our lives, and everybody have a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. So good night, Bassett.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Ms. Rivera?
Yes, first of all, I want to thank the Sunkist and Van Wyck staff for your presentation, and the principal especially. I'm sure you all work with your leaders to get the plan going. And I'm happy for the plan that you have. I know it's going to be a struggle, but it's a great plan to help our students reach their potential. So thank you for your hard work, and thank your staffs too for all the work that they do. And I also like to wish our superintendent a happy anniversary. He started with us here at Bassett exactly a year ago today. It was a Monday, November 16 when he started. So happy first year anniversary, and hope we have many more to celebrate. Thank you. And I just, mine's is short. So have a safe and healthy and wonderful Thanksgiving to all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Rivera. Ms. Anzioni?
Uncharacteristically, I will be brief as well. Good evening, Bassett. Congratulations to our football team for making it to the first round. Don't say you lost. You won because you were among the best of the best, making it to playoffs in and of itself. Boys soccer, outstanding. Cross country, excellent. I'd like to encourage everybody out there to be a part of the great act of kindness by supporting the National Honor Society canned food drive and sweater drive. It's a great way to model and teach our children how to be gracious, generous, and giving. Don Julian Mariachi, keep it up. I can't wait to hear you play. Sunkist, great things are always going on there. I always look forward to hearing about it. After being a principal for the day there once, I was sold. I would like to have the principals to disaggregate their data when they present it to us from now on, so we can see the true authentic populations and their successes, because I know they're there. I've been in those classrooms. I know how hard your teachers work. And again, to the dual immersion program, celebrating Day of the Dead begins to celebrate the equity and access that we need to begin to bring to our community. So we can celebrate each other's being, their lives, their traditions, that makes us a community of color, of warmth, of welcoming, of great food. And it teaches our kids to be better people. So thank you for that, and keep it up. And on that, I'd like to say, be safe, Bassett. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Danzioni. Mr. Solano?
Yeah, mine will be brief as well. I just wanted to thank Mrs. Morales, Mr. Hvac, and Dr. Kennard and their teams for just the overall presentations. I know a lot of the data is painful to see. But to see the plans that you have gives me some relief. But then also, I mean, we can't, while I say that data is painful, it's also, we got to take it with a grain of salt in terms of what happened over the last year and a half to our students and to education in general. So we're fully aware of that. But it just, what the pandemic did was it really exposed a lot of the inequities in education statewide, in our community, regionally, and in our community just as a district, which is good and bad. But I think we have a plan and we have a team here that's looking forward to more progress. So thank you guys for all of that. Echo the comments to Dr. Alvarez. Happy anniversary. Hopefully it's one of 15 here at least. So to you retire. And thank you for all the great work. I appreciate your kind of state of the district year end that you kind of presented today. One of the first things that you did in the first month that really excited me about your tenure was feeding families. And it was during a time that there was a lot of scarcity with families who didn't have a lot. And I think what we did was gave a lot of families peace of mind. While we are an institution that educates kids, we became a real beacon for the community in terms of having food. So thank you for doing that right off the bat and everything else you've done since then. Lastly, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you have a great one with your family.
Thank you, Mr. Solano. I just want to practically state once again what several of my colleagues have already shared. Happy anniversary, Dr. Alvarez. And thank you for your presentation as well. You know, you came in here, you were hot from the beginning. First positive budget in quite some time, made it happen within that year. Started bringing programs that, of course, we're capitalizing on the funds of knowledge our kiddos bring. That's practically ingrained in our community already. So you're just capitalizing on what we already have to an extent. And by doing so, building programs such as dual immersion program, middle school Spanish, of course, is with your team and so on. But that being said, we're making it happen. We're making it happen. And that's just 1 year. That being said, we do appreciate everything you brought into our district. As Mr. Solano said, we are gladly looking to many, many years ahead. I do want to share with everyone, and I hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your family. And last but not least, this is Rivalry Week, so fight on, beat the Bruins. One more note. Go ahead, Dr.
Yeah. And sorry, just to add, I know there was Mr. just talked about, Mr. Orozco just talked about AP, covering AP exams. Just so the district and the community know, the district does set aside $5,000 a year for the high school to cover AP exam costs. Recently, Ms. Lentz asked the district if we can increase that for this year to about $8,700, which Dr. Kennard had informed Ms. Lentz just a few days ago that we would be bumping it up this year. So if there's an issue of accessing the funds, please let us know so we can make sure it gets streamlined. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. We move on to item number 10, notice of public hearing. So item number 1, conduct an open public hearing regarding the initial proposal for Sunshine. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Mr. Rivera, and second by Mr. Solano. The public hearing is open at 8:15. Do we have any comments regarding the public hearing? No comments. Okay, that being said, any comments from the board? Nope. Okay. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Ms. Anzioni, and second by Mr. Solano. Roll call, Ms. Flores?
Aye.
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 I heard Ms. Anzioni say aye. Mr. Solano?
Aye.
And aye. The public hearing closes at 8:15. Item number 11, discussion action items. The Basse Unified School District initial proposal for Sunshine. Can I get a motion to either discuss or take action on it?
Motion to approve initial proposal for Sunshine.
Mr. Solano, motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Stanzioni, second. Roll call, Ms. Flores,
Aye.
Ms. Rivera,
Aye.
Ms. Stanzioni,
Aye.
Mr. Solano, and I, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We move on to item number 12, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be items that will be enacted by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and/or removed from the consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Solano moved and Ms. Stanzioni second. Roll call, Ms. Flores?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Rivera?
Aye.
Mr. Solano?
Aye.
And I, motion carries 5-0. All right, here we go. Item number 13, adjournments. All right, item 1, next regular board meeting will be December 14, 2021. Item number 2, adjournment of regular board meeting of November 16, 2021. Can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Moved.
Mr. Solano, I think I heard Ms. Stanzioni a second. Thank you.
Yeah.
Roll call, Ms. Flores,
Aye.
Ms. Rivera,
Aye.
Stanzioni,
Aye.
Mr. Solano.
Aye.
And I. Board meeting is adjourned at 8:17 PM. Thank you, Vassar community.